I don't think that it is necessary for there to be horrors and fear and terror and mass murder of children to learn anything. Because we could make choices that stop that happening. But we don't live in a world that is as it was designed to be. We live in a world that has been fundamentally distorted. There is a force that in its prime form is merely energy, awareness, that operates like a computer virus. And it is an energetic distortion that is self-aware. And that's because everything is energy awareness in some form, and thus everything is self-aware. So if you imagine a computer system like the internet, a collective reality, and it gets infiltrated by a computer virus. The virus has not created anything. It can't create. What it can do is distort what is already created. So what it's doing is distorting the system, and the system starts to work less and less in a balanced, harmonious way. And that's what's happened to human reality. We have a situation where there is a distortion, like an energetic cancer, which is distorting anything it comes into contact with. And so we have a situation where in a harmonious, balanced environment, Israelis and the Palestinians would live in harmony with each other. This is just I'm giving this as one example. I could give thousands of examples of this all over the world in different situations. But instead, the distortion means distorted behavior. And so you have the Palestinians slaughtered day after day as we speak by expressions of this computer virus, this distortion. The reason that their behavior is so extreme, so evil, and evil is live written backwards. And that's a wonderful kind of symbolic example of what I'm saying. Live life, is the harmonious natural state. Evil is the inversion, the distorted inversion of life. And that's why those that are expressions of this distortion, people like Satanists and these other very, very deeply dark secret groupings, are obsessed with death. This is why they do a lot of their rituals in churchyards, among the graves and stuff, and why they do human sacrifice. They are a death cult. Why? Because the natural order of balance and harmony is life. The distortion inversion of it is death, and they're the distortion inversion of it, so they feed off death as others feed off life. And when you are an energetic source in an energetic state, to replenish yourself energetically, you must absorb energy that is on your frequency, is on your wavelength. And so it cannot absorb energy that is loving, harmonious, and has compassion and empathy. The only energy it can feed off is the inversion of that: death, fear, anxiety, depression, all these low vibrational emotions. And what they've done, this computer virus has inverted the system, made the system more and more, and the society more and more, an expression of it. It has created more and more situations where energy of its type is being generated. You imagine how much energy of distortion in all these emotional states I'm talking about was generated in the years of the First World War, in the trenches of France, the Second World War, in Gaza, in Syria, in Libya, with these West-created terror groups like ISIS and others, where they are creating situations of insane horror, which causes the victims to generate this energetic distortion, low vibrational energy, terror, fear. What are they doing in their satanic rituals? They are systematically terrorizing the sacrificial victim and feeding off that energy. And these entities behind this, who are expressions of this distortion, that actually are operating in the unseen and manipulating our society through these particular bloodline networks, like the Rothschilds and the Royals and those that end up in positions of power in the world. They are feeding off this energy all the time. And so it is in their interests to manipulate society and manipulate human perception so that we produce maximum amounts of this energy, their energetic food and sustenance. And so it's not a choice, or it's not a situation, I would say, where it's okay, we're going to make them experience horrors and suffering and hunger and conflict and war and mass murder of kids so that they wake up. The consequences that I've just described are the consequences of humanity being asleep and unconscious and thus manipulated by these hidden forces, like candy to a baby. And the question is not that we have to experience these horrors to wake up. The question is, how far down this road of horror and injustice do we have to go before we make the choice to wake up and to look in the face what we're dealing with and deal with it, and to acknowledge its existence, which is that's just the first step, but very, very difficult for the vast majority of people to make that, even that first step, to acknowledge the existence. I mean, what do they think? What do they think is the mentality that bombs 32 miles by 6.8 full of civilians and children? I mean, in Gaza, I mean, what is that a loving, balanced mentality that does that? Of course not. It's an inversion of that. So where is that coming from? And why is it so absolutely obviously prevalent throughout the positions of power and major global decision making all over the world? What is this this mentality that thinks that it's fine to crash the banking system with all the suffering that comes from that, financially and in terms of austerity and hunger and losing homes? Is that a loving mentality that does that? No. So where's that mentality coming from? And why is it so prevalent in the positions of power? This is what people need to start asking these questions so that they can start to learn and to see and to wake up as a result of what we're seeing. We could have woken up a long time ago when things were going on. We could have woken up at the time of the First World War. We could have woken up long before that. But humanity didn't. It went on accepting the official version of everything, and thus the official version of everything has led them down this road to where we are now. So, like I say, life's about choice and consequence. And humanity has been making the same choice and suffering the same consequence, except that it compounds and gets worse all the way through known human history. And as it's compounded, fewer and fewer people have got more and more control over more and more of the world and human society. So here we are now, with another choice to make. Are we going to make the same choice again? Are we going to say, oh no, the leaders wouldn't do that? They've been doing it for thousands of years, darling. And is this the time when people are going to make different choices by opening their eyes, waking up, as it's said, and seeing the world in its true light rather than the one they like to believe it is? Well, I think the signs are certainly more encouraging than at any time in my lifetime of 62 years, because especially what's happening now with Gaza, but other things too. Since 9/11, there has been an increasingly obvious expansion and an exponential expansion of people who are seeing that the world is not like they thought it was. We are at a point now of enormous significance and enormous importance, because if we don't start making different choices now and start to take responsibility for what's happening in the world, then this situation is going to escalate very, very fast. Because, as I've been saying for decades, the plan is to lead the world into World War III. And with what's happening in the Middle East, I mean, the Middle East is absolutely ablaze on so many fronts, in total chaos. Then you look at Ukraine and the attempts to draw Russia into a conflict. They are seeking to take us into World War III. And we can make en masse different choices now and intervene on that process, or we can make the same choices of staying inactive and silent and turning on Simon Cowell. And has everyone ever done that? I'm not sure. We will take horrific consequences for that choice. We really are at the crossroads. We really are at a turning point.
Yeah, just a point on that. Do you think we are too late, in the sense of like where we have a huge mass of consciousness that wants to stay asleep? They don't want to awake. They're quite happy in this state, or they feel they're under the illusion they're happy.
We're not too late, depending on the scale of the response. And that's again down to collective choice. If people go on as they are, we're too late. If people don't start rising up and ceasing to cooperate with their own enslavement and the enslavement of others and the mass murder of others, then we're too late. That once again is a choice, and I tell you now, we're at the time when that choice has to be made, because we don't have any longer to think about it. We are absolutely on the brink of a global catastrophe if we don't start responding en masse now, not tomorrow, now.